Hello and welcome. Once again, we're taking a look at some of the vehicles that are coming up for auction through Historics Auctions on the 1st of March 2025. Today, I'm going to be taking a look at this 2006 MG ZTT V8. Now, 2003 saw the introduction of the MG ZT and the ZTT V8 range, and it wasn't until 2004 that the Rover V8 also joined the lineup. And it was at the same time that the MG-ZT underwent a cosmetic facelift. Both these models remained in production until April the 15th, 2005, when MG Rover entered into administration and the doors were closed for good. Getting these cars into production was no mean feat because they were totally re-engineered from being a front-wheel drive to a rear-wheel drive car, and the engineers had to go through a lot of reworking of the various components. And don't think for 1 minute that the MG-ZT is the same as an MG-ZT V8, because it isn't. They are completely different beasts altogether. The only similarity is the visual appearance. What the MG Rover engineers achieved, and on what was a very limited budget for a struggling car company, shouldn't be underestimated, and it deserves to be recognised. It's quite a remarkable story. This car was first registered on the 15th of January 2006, almost 9 months after the company had fallen into administration. Whenever I see one of the late model MGZTs or the Rovers, and I see the number plate of a 55 or an '06, my immediate thoughts are, I bet that's probably been sold by SMC Motor Company. SMC were a big outfit as regards to MG Rover. They were a big MG Rover dealer at the time. I think they were called the Slough Motor Company. And they were based in the south of England, Slough, obviously, High Wycombe, and various other sites as well. And they bought up a vast amount of stock following the administration. And I think they were still selling Rovers a couple of years after, up to about 2008. So I'm going to work on my hunch, and I'm going to have a look and see. Let's have a look at the picture. Yeah, it looks like SMC. There we are, SMC Rover Slough. No real surprise to me, I must say. Now, the colour is pearl black, which is a metallic black. And they didn't make many in solid black. And what I like about this car, I think it looks quite smart actually. Some cars look better than others, and colour can make a big difference. And I'm not normally a lover of black cars as such, but I think this one looks rather smart. And what I like about it is the wheels. Look at the wheels here. These are 18-inch Apex wheels. They've got 10 blades to them. And what I really like about it is it's still got its original factory finish to it, which was called shadow chrome effect. Basically, it wasn't chromed alloys, but they were painted in such a way that there was like a smokiness to the paint, and it gave a reflectiveness that gave that opinion that it was actually chromed alloys. And a lot of those vehicles now have lost that. One thing that does stand out to me, and that is here. Ordinarily, you would expect to see a V8 badge, but somebody's decided to replace that with the Mustang logo. Again, not uncommon, and quite often you'll see some owners put a little Mustang badge in the front grille. Now, obviously, with it being the Tourer, or the estate, whatever you want to call it, they were built in smaller numbers. So the vast majority of the cars built were saloons. What we can see in this picture is something that you won't see on a normal ZT, and it's just below the bumper. And you'll see it's got the air dam there for the wind deflector for the aerodynamics. Moving to the back of the car, a couple of important points to note. I see it's got a tow bar. There's not many V8s, I don't think, that actually have seen that have had tow bars on. So that's interesting. And you'll see the quad pipes. That's the other thing. And the heat shields on the bumpers. The thing with MGs and the MG Tourers, the exhausts are quite clearly on show. and they stick out and protrude just a little bit beyond the bumper. And this is where there's a difference between the MG and the Rover. The Rover's much more subtle because you won't see the exhausts. If you want to see the exhausts, you've got to bend down and look underneath the bumper because they're tucked away underneath and behind the rear bumper, angling the exhaust gases down towards the ground. It's got the 4.6 litre Ford Mustang V8 engine, which produces 260 brake horsepower, and it's got a top speed which is limited to 155 miles per hour. Now, quite often, someone will make a comment that 260 brake horsepower isn't much for a V8. That's fair enough, but it's not all about brake horsepower. There's more to it than that. It's about the torque, it's about the pulling power. And if you want a car that's got more brake horsepower, then go for one of the supercharged versions where the brake horsepower has been increased to 385. And there's a lot more that people have done with them. As regards to the suspension, it's Bilstein's all round. The MG version, of course, being a manual gearbox, and it's the Tremax TR3650 5-speed manual gearbox. The Rover, it had the 4-speed auto box. And for anybody who wants to know, it's got a Hydrotec differential. Now, this is quite interesting. First of all, we've got the paint code, which is PBT, which is pearl black. But it's the chassis number 422, that I find interesting. And it speaks volumes because it tells you, in effect, how many cars they had left over at the point of sale, in effect. Because this car, number 422, is under the halfway point of the total number of the vehicles produced. So, yeah, I think that's quite enlightening, actually. With the 260, they made two versions. They made the standard model, which was the 260, and they made the 260 SE, which was the top model. And this is the standard 260. And I can tell you that instantly because it's only got half leather on the seats and it's got a fabric center panel. The SE model, it came with additional features such as the Highline satellite navigation, and it had a teletext-equipped TV tuner. Do you remember teletext? It had a side impact protection system for the front seats. It came with xenon lights. It had a CD auto changer, a trip computer, electrochromatic self-dimming rear view mirror, and it also had a rain sensor. The front seats were electrically operated, and it came with full black leather seats. Usually it was full black leather. Sometimes it could be two-toned leather, or you could opt for one of the monogram colours, Oxford leather, or you could have Alcantara. And of course, it also had the parking sensors. Now, this has a Highline navigation. Now, the standard model wouldn't ordinarily have had that. But that said, it was an option and you could choose it. And it wasn't uncommon to get a standard car with quite a few of the options of the SE model, or they may have been upgraded at a later date. And as you'll see, this navigation system isn't the original navigation system because it's been outdated. So somebody's updated it with possibly a BMW one. And that's quite a common thing. So with it being the standard model, it didn't come with a sunroof, although it could have been optioned. But personally, you could see that as a positive because not having a sunroof means you've not got the issues that accompany them: blocked drains, water ingress, and a whole host of problems. And there we go, the battery's in the boot because there isn't space for it anywhere else. And there isn't room for a tyre either. So what you got with them was basically a gas canister to inflate the tyre and hopefully seal it if that's what could be done. So from what I can see, the only thing that appears to be missing from the toolkit is you got a pair of safety glasses that were wrapped in plastic, obviously, which went in there. And it looks as though the wheel centre tool removal thing may not be present, but everything else looks fine. It looks quite nice and tidy in there, actually. Now, I think that this car looks rather smart. Not only is it a good, useful vehicle and special and different, 79,000 miles is nothing to it. You don't have to worry about cam belts. You've got a timing chain on them. And the timing chain's supposed to be good to 155,000 miles before you have to touch that. And they are good for high mileage, as long as you look after the engine. They're great cars. It's on a no reserve, which somebody may well get a bargain with this car. And I would hazard a guess to say it should really be worth between £8,000 and £10,000. When the market wasn't as it was, it should have been every day £10,000 as a starting point. So I think it could offer excellent value for money for somebody, this car. The other thing that I find quite hard to believe is that there's still a lot of people out there who don't even know that these cars exist. And a lot of people who say that they've never actually seen one. If you want to know further details and details of viewing dates, then check out Historics website for more information. And I'm going to include a link in the description box. And I'm going to finish by saying I hope you've enjoyed this preview video. Hope you'll join me for future ones. And until next time, take care.